Heartwarming moment, black driver reveals hidden truth to officer, I am your new police chief. The sun sank low over the small Midwestern town of Ashwood, casting an orange hue over cracked sidewalks and faded storefronts. Marcus Thompson adjusted his cap as he tightened the last bolt on a tired old sedan. He could feel the weight of expectations hanging over him, just like the humid air that pressed down on the small community he called home. Days spent in his family's auto repair shop reminded him of his father, the man who was a rock for this town and led it with respect and honor. Now, at 35, Marcus found himself trying to carve out his own identity amidst lingering prejudices and a tight economy that had the community scrambling for answers. As he finished up, Marcus glanced at his watch. Time to head home to his two kids. They were counting on him. He wiped his hands on an old rag and climbed into his rusty truck. The long commute felt heavier today, as whispers of economic uncertainty filled the air, and some townsfolk still made it clear they believe he should be doing more. More than being just a mechanic. As he drove, doubt crept in like fog, wrapping around his chest. Would his father have been proud of this life? Just as he was making his way down Main Street, blue lights flashed in his rearview mirror. A sigh escaped his lips. Officer Tom, steadfast lawman and traditionalist, stepped out of his cruiser. The man had a reputation for enforcing the rules right down the line, but no one knew the force of his biases better than Marcus. License and registration, Tom said, an edge in his voice as he approached the driver's side. Everything's good, Tom. Just got done fixing this baby, Marcus replied, trying to keep it light. Tom's gaze darted to the truck's condition. Cars like this don't belong on the road, Marcus. Tension thickened the air, Marcus felt his cheeks flush. Why don't you take a second to realize I put in more work than most in this town after my father? I know your father's legacy, Marcus. But a mechanic? Surely you could be done better, Tom interrupted, scorn dripping off each word. Marcus clenched his jaw, fighting back anger. You think that's all I am? You don't see the long hours or the kids I take care of. You only see the color of my skin and that wrench. For a moment, silence enveloped them, the echoes of their words hanging in the air. Then, like lightning striking, Marcus dropped a bombshell. Well, by the way, I'm the new police chief. Tom faltered, the disbelief apparent on his face, his self-righteousness waning. What? Yep, chief, Marcus said firmly. I'm here to elevate our community, not drag it down. Before he could grab the chance to recover, Marcus's phone buzzed, reminding him of the community meeting set for later that evening. Standing on the precipice of change, fear and hope collided. Each of them faced harsh realities, faded dreams, and enough social divisions to shake Ashwood to its core. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the meeting approached, Marcus felt the collective breath of the town. Would they accept him? Would he be respected, not as the black mechanic, but as their leader? The echoes of the past banged around in his mind, the judgments, the inequalities, everything tightly woven into their small-town fabric. Would tonight's community gathering be the moment they finally listened? Or would his dreams shatter just like that old truck ground to dust and thrown away? The stakes were higher than ever, and as he prepared to speak to the crowd, nerves tangled. Alongside determination. Would Marcus find that spark of unity in the hearts of his neighbors or become just another voice lost to silence? As the crowd began to gather, ready to confront their fears and resentments, all he could do was take a deep breath and step forward. What would it take to earn the respect he so desperately wanted? The community center buzzed with tension as Marcus walked through the door. Old wooden benches creaked under the weight of the townsfolk seated inside. They shifted restlessly, some glancing at him as if they weren't quite sure what to make of the man in front of them. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, questions hanging in the air like storm clouds. "Look who's here," someone whispered, barely masking disdain. He drew in a shaky breath, his heart echoing in his chest. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed incessantly, mirroring his rising anxiety. Marcus spotted familiar faces, some friendly, but many others were cloaked in doubt. He spotted Mrs. Klein, the elderly woman who brought cookies to his father's shop. She sat with her arms crossed, brows furrowed. He remembered her warmth, the countless conversations they'd had. This night carried weight not just for him, but for every soul in the room. "Thank you all for coming," Marcus began, his voice steadier than he felt. "I know many of you have questions. I'm here tonight to explain my vision for our town and how we can come together to make Ashwood stronger." He glanced at the sea of faces, searching for signs of encouragement, but finding mostly skepticism instead. "I've worked in this community my whole life. I know what we need. Change is only possible if we're willing to get uncomfortable, to face the truth about our divisions." An elderly man stood up. The friction in his posture spoke of age and experience. "And what makes you think we want to follow you? You're just a mechanic." Marcus took a breath, allowing the challenge to settle and gain clarity. "I'm not just a mechanic. I'm a father, a brother, and a neighbor. I'm dedicated to ensuring our children grow up in a place where they can thrive no matter their color or background." He could feel the weight of the room pressing down on him. Some looked uncertain, while others didn't bother to hide their doubt. Could he bridge the chasm built over years of prejudice and division? His heart raced as he shared his vision: community policing that fosters trust, programs to promote inclusivity, and partnerships with local businesses to provide jobs. As he spoke, the familiar warmth that came from sharing his father's story seeped into his words. He shared memories of his father mentoring young people, inviting them into the shop, believing in them when the world didn't. As he wrapped up, he noticed a change in the atmosphere. Ms. Klein sat nodding slowly, the corners of her mouth softening. "Look, it's hard to change what you think you know," Marcus continued, fighting the tremor in his voice. "But if we don't try, if we don't come together, Ashwood will keep struggling. We're all in this together." Tom stood at the back, his arms crossed. Marcus met his gaze, finally. Would he be the bridge or the barrier? As the meeting reached a pivotal moment, an unexpected voice cut through the tension. "How do we know we can trust you?" a young woman called out. All eyes focused on Marcus, the challenge clear. Doubts, fears, and the weight of history pulsated in the air. "Trust takes time," he replied, though doubt clung to him. "But I promise to work for this community, listen and learn from each of you. It's a two-way street." The crowd murmured. Hearts and minds stirred within the room, boundaries trembling at the possibility. As he stood there, taking in the faces before him, he felt a flicker of hope amidst the trepidation. This could be the start either of healing or more conflict. All he needed was the courage to forge ahead. Just then, the door swung open, and a newcomer stepped inside, breathing heavily as if they had run there. "Sorry I'm late," they exclaimed, face flushed with urgency. "You won't believe what just happened at the station." All eyes shifted, and Marcus's heart raced again. What news lay behind that door, and how would it change everything? The words lingered in the air, heavy with surprise and confusion. Marcus's pulse quickened. The bustling community center quieted, and all eyes were on the newcomer, their clothes slightly askew, hair wild from running. There was no denying the energy they brought into the room, a whirlwind of anticipation. "What do you mean, you're the new police chief?" A skeptical voice broke through the murmurs at the back of the crowd. It was Tom, arms still crossed defiantly, his posture braced for whatever was coming next. The newcomer rubbed the back of their neck, still catching their breath. "I know it sounds crazy, but my name is Jordan Parker. I just moved to Ashwood, and it seems like I'm taking over as chief effective immediately." A ripple of gasps echoed through the crowd. Some faces turned skeptical, others curious. Marcus felt a surge of mixed emotions churning within him, hope for something fresh in this moment of uncertainty but also deep-seated apprehension. The sound of chairs scraping the floor filled the air as a few townsfolk shifted, trying to process the news. "I've come to listen and learn," Jordan continued, their voice rising slightly with urgency. "It's not just about enforcing laws, it's about connecting with the community. I want to work with you all, build trust, and create a safe environment for everyone." Marcus stepped forward, his heart racing. "That's what I was talking about. Change and connection. We can work together on this." Jordan's eyes narrowed as they assessed the room filled with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "Exactly. But it's going to take all of us. I'm here because I believe our community can rise above its past. Let us bridge those divides." A flicker of recognition sparked in Mrs. Klein's eyes as she leaned in, her voice softer now. "But you're a part of this new chapter. How can we be sure things will be different this time?" Jordan met her gaze directly. "Because I've been where you are. I've seen divisions break communities down. I won't just be an officer, I'll be your ally. Together, we'll root out injustice and ensure every voice is heard." The tension shifted in the room, it was palpable. Marcus could see it in the faces of those gathered, their apprehension wavering, hope creeping in. Yet, he sensed the unspoken questions still gnawing at them. "Tell us more about yourself," Tom challenged, unable to hide his suspicion. "What do you really know about Ashwood?" A brief silence followed. Marcus held his breath, waiting for Jordan's reply that would prove critical to what came next. "I grew up in a town just like this, one that struggled with trust and tension," Jordan began, their voice steady. "I faced challenges because of my skin color, just as many of you have faced challenges here. I want you to know that I understand the divisions, I've experienced them firsthand, and I want to help heal them." A hushed murmur ran through the audience like a stream finding its way through boulders, murmurs of surprise and understanding. Marcus turned, taking a deep breath. Hope flickered bright within him. "This is our chance," he whispered to himself as he caught sight of Jordan's passionate demeanor lighting up the room. The atmosphere began to shift, as if a long-held tension in the room was unraveling thread by thread. But a lingering question hung in the air: would old wounds close enough for this new relationship to flourish? Jordan smiled warmly as they invited community members to share their stories, to be part of an open dialogue. The crowd began to slowly respond, voices blending into a tapestry of shared experiences. This was the moment, the shift they needed. Just when it seemed like a breakthrough might be on the horizon, a loud crash echoed from the back of the center. "What is going on back there?" someone shouted, voices rising in alarm. Marcus felt his heart sink. Had something or someone disrupted what felt like the first step toward real change? Marcus's eyes darted toward the back of the community center where the noise originated. The vibrant atmosphere moments ago quickly turned tense, like a candle flame snuffed out by an unexpected gust of wind. His heart raced as he scanned the crowd, faces that had just begun to soften now etched with concern. Jordan maintained their composure, but Marcus could see their jaw tighten. "Stay calm," Jordan called out, projecting authority even in chaos. "Let us find out what is going on." As people shifted, Marcus noticed a tall figure emerge from the shadows. It was a young man, his face flushed with urgency. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene," he shouted, glancing around nervously. "I was just trying to help someone. What happened?" Tom stepped forward, arms still crossed defensively, his eyes narrowed. The young man took a deep breath. "There's a car outside. Someone crashed into it. We need to call for help. It looks bad." A ripple of anxious murmurs coursed through the crowd, and Marcus felt an instinct tugging at him. Adrenaline kicked in. Let us check it out. We can't just sit here. He turned on his heel, ready to rush toward the exit. Jordan stepped beside him, determination in their eyes. I'm with you, this is part of being involved. Everyone, stay put. I want to make sure we get a clear picture of what's happening. As they pushed through the crowd, Marcus glanced back, noticing Mrs. Klein's face pale with worry. The warmth of connection they had just started building was hanging by a thread. He urged himself to focus. This was a crisis, but maybe it could lead to something good outside. The sight was alarming. A small black car sat against the lamppost, its front end crumpled like a soda can, steam rising from under the hood. Marcus could hear faint honks of annoyance from other vehicles, but there was something more pressing. A woman with short hair stood beside the car, hands resting nervously on her hips. What happened? Jordan approached her, authoritative yet calming. Are you all right? I was just trying to park, and her voice trembled. I didn't see the lamppost. It all happened so fast. Marcus moved closer, evaluating the vehicle. The impact had twisted the metal, and he could already see signs of smoke bubbling from beneath the hood. We need to call emergency services. Is anyone hurt? He asked, glancing back at the bystanders who were now gathering. Jordan quickly pulled out their phone. I'll call it in, but let us keep everyone at a distance just in case. Marcus turned to the young man who had first alerted them. You said you were helping someone, who was it? The young man hesitated, his expression a mix of confusion and concern. It was just a friend. We were heading to the community meeting, and a voice called out from behind them. Asha. It was a middle-aged woman running towards them, her expression a storm of fear and relief. She threw her arms around the young man. Relief flooded the air around them, grounding the chaotic moment for Marcus. We thought you were hurt. The woman exclaimed, tears in her eyes. In that brief instant, amidst the debris of the messed-up car and the swirl of anxiety, Marcus realized something profound. Genuine connections were fragile, built in the simplest moments of human interaction. This woman's embrace, the relief on their faces, it sent a wave of clarity through him. They were all here pulled together, not by past grievances but by shared experiences. Jordan, can you tell the crowd to come down and check if anyone needs help? Marcus recommended, feeling that urgency merge with hope. As Jordan nodded and stepped away, it struck him that this unexpected incident might just guide the community toward a deeper understanding of each other. But the moment was interrupted as a police siren wailed in the distance. Here we go, Jordan said, turning serious. Let us make sure everyone is okay first. Marcus's heart pounded with a mix of hope and fear. This was far from over as each person wrestled with their hidden truths. Would they find the courage to embrace a new chapter together? As the sound of the sirens grew closer, a wave of tension rippled through the crowd that had gathered outside the community center. People whispered and pointed, their faces lit with a mix of curiosity and concern. Marcus shifted his weight, glancing toward Jordan, who was still on the phone with emergency services. Any update? He asked, heart racing. Jordan shook their head, still focused. Just waiting for them to arrive. In the meantime, we need to keep everyone calm and clear out. As Marcus took a deep breath, he turned back to the scene before him. The young woman, Asha, stood close to the crumpled car, still shaking with disbelief. He moved closer, his voice gentle. Asha, it's going to be okay. I promise help is on the way. Asha nodded, but her gaze remained fixed on the wreckage. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was so careful. It's easy to see how it could happen, Marcus replied, thinking about how life had a knack for throwing curves just when you thought you were in control. Were you alone in the car? No, I was with my sister. Asha's voice cracked. She's in the back seat. Without thinking, Marcus slid around the car to check inside, hoping beyond hope that she would be okay. His hands trembled slightly, and he felt as though he were moving in slow motion. What he saw sent a chill down his spine. A teenage girl, Asha's sister, slumped against the door, unconscious but breathing. "Oh no," he whispered. "Is she okay?" Asha's voice faltered, fear painting her words. "I don't know yet." Marcus turned and called to Jordan. "We need to get the paramedics here fast. There's someone trapped inside." Jordan's expression shifted. "What do you mean trapped? Is she hurt?" "She's unconscious, but she's breathing." The urgency in his voice filled the air. "We can't move her until they arrive." Marcus's heart quickened, the tension wrapping around him like a tight coil. He could feel the stares of the crowd piercing him, waiting for answers he didn't have. Asha's wide eyes searched his, desperation pooling in the depths of her worry. Just then, a police SUV screeched to a halt, and two officers emerged. The first, a middle-aged man with a kind face, rushed straight to Asha. "Ma'am, step back for me, please. We're going to help your sister." Asha's legs seemed to give way, and she leaned into Marcus for support. He felt her trembling body against him, a physical manifestation of the fear that encased them all. As officers moved quickly to assess the situation, Marcus noticed a third figure stepping out of the cruiser, a woman in her 30s, wearing a crisp uniform with a familiar badge. Beside her, the words "Police Chief" glimmered under the sunlight, illuminating a title that felt charged with gravity. Jordan noticed too. "Wait, is that?" The woman moved with authority toward the vehicle, assessing the scene with eyes that held a deep understanding. "I'm Chief Stevenson," she announced, her voice steadying the impending chaos. Marcus could only watch as Chief Stevenson knelt beside the car. "What's the status?" she asked, not wasting a moment. "There's a girl in the back," Marcus said, pointing. "She's unconscious, but alive." Chief Stevenson nodded, and suddenly Jeremy, one of the officers, started relaying commands. "All right, we need to extract her carefully. Let us get the medics here first and secure the area." Marcus's heart swelled with a mix of panic and hope. Would they manage to save her? Just when he thought the scene was settling into some controlled chaos, Asha, squeezing Marcus's arm, whispered urgently, "This isn't just an accident, is it? There's more at stake here." Her eyes shimmered with questions that echoed Marcus's own doubts. What deeper truths lay underneath the surface of this crisis? Would the bond strained in a moment of chaos emerge stronger or break apart altogether? As the sirens of the paramedics drew ever closer, a sense of unease hung heavily in the air. What would the revelations of this day ultimately reveal? The sound of sirens pierced through the air, and Marcus felt the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The paramedics arrived just as Chief Stevenson stood up, a determined look set on her face. "Let us make room," she called out, directing the crowd away from the car. As the paramedics quickly unloaded their equipment, Marcus breathed a little easier, but his heart still raced. Asha clung to his arm, her breath quickening. "What if she doesn't wake up?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We can't think like that," Marcus replied, trying to steady his own fears. "They're professionals. They know what they're doing." With a nod, Asha squeezed his arm tighter as one of the paramedics crawled into the back seat, checking her sister's vital signs. The tension in the air felt palpable, a mix of anxiety and hope. One of the paramedics looked over his shoulder and said, "We're going to give her some oxygen. Just stay calm." As the team worked methodically, Marcus caught glimpses of the onlookers. Some watched with pain, others with curiosity. He could see murmurs spreading through the crowd, expressions shifting from worry to hope. Then Chief Stevenson turned toward Asha, kneeling to meet her gaze. "Do you know what happened? Did she lose consciousness before the crash?" Asha choked out a response. "We were." Her voice broke, tears spilling down her cheeks. "We were on our way home. Just a normal day." I swear I was careful. Before Asha could finish, another paramedic cut in, his voice steady and calm. Okay, we've got her stabilized. Marcus held his breath, watching as they gently pulled Asha's sister from the car, placing her on a backboard. The sight made his heart ache, but he was relieved she was in their hands. Get her to the hospital now. We'll follow behind. Chief Stevenson commanded, her authority radiating through the chaos. As the paramedics loaded Asha's sister into the ambulance, Marcus noticed Asha trembling beside him. Before he could speak, she looked up at him, her expression raw. What if I lose her? He wanted to comfort her, to reassure her that everything would be fine, but the weight of his own fears hung deep in his chest. You won T. We're going to stay positive. You're strong, Asha. Before she could respond, the ambulance doors slammed shut, and the sirens wailed back to life as it pulled away from the scene. Asha gasped, her hand pressed against her heart, and Marcus felt the air grow thicker with their unspoken worries. Still, amidst the confusion, a flicker of determination ignited within him. He looked over at Chief Stevenson, who seemed poised, ready to lead despite the chaos. What now? He asked her, eager for direction. Now, we find out what really caused this, Chief Stevenson said, surveying the wreck with piercing eyes. And if there's more to this story than just an accident, we'll get to the bottom of it. As Marcus absorbed her words, he felt a deep unease settle in his stomach. Asha squeezed his hand, her grip a lifeline. What do you mean by more? She asked, her voice shaking. And just like that, the air shifted again. They both sensed it, this moment that felt somehow bigger than them. What if Marcus started, but the thought lingered in the air, heavy with implications. The questions gathered like storm clouds. If this wasn't an accident, if there was something lurking in the shadows, what would they uncover? As the officers began taking statements, Marcus felt a firm resolve settle within him. They had to walk this path together, uncovering the truth, navigating the fear. But what lay ahead would test them all in ways they couldn't yet imagine. The ambulance had sped into the distance, and the chaotic scene began to quiet. The crowd of onlookers started to disperse, their murmurs of concern fading into the night. Chief Stevenson waved to the officers, signaling them to gather around her. Marcus and Asha felt like outsiders in their own world, lost in the whirlwind of emotions and uncertainty. Do you think she'll be okay? Asha asked, her voice tremulous as she wiped at her tears. Marcus nodded, though he wasn't entirely convinced. I hope so, he replied. They're doing everything they can. Let us just focus on what comes next. He pulled Asha closer, feeling her trembling decrease a little. They both turned their attention back to Chief Stevenson as she addressed her team. We need to secure the area. Get statements from everyone. I want to know exactly what happened here. Nothing gets overlooked. Understood? Her team nodded, moving quickly to follow her commands. Marcus, come here, Chief Stevenson called over, gesturing for him and Asha to approach. I need you two to help. If you saw anything unusual or if you have any relevant information, it might help us figure this out. Asha hesitated, glancing sideways at Marcus. He took a deep breath, wanting to step up for her sake. Right. We were just in the car behind them. I think he paused, trying to dig into his memory. I saw a car veer into their lane right before the crash. It came from nowhere. Was it a distraction? Texting or something worse? Chief Stevenson pressed, intensely focused. I am not sure. It happened so fast. I can't remember the details clearly, Marcus admitted, frustration creeping into his voice. We'll find it, Asha said suddenly, her resolve bubbling up despite her fear. If there was a car involved, someone has to have seen it. Chief Stevenson gave them an encouraging nod. Exactly. If there was reckless driving or something deliberate, we need to track it down. Every little clue matters. You both did well to report this. Now let us start piecing together the truth. With that, they all split up to interview witnesses, but Marcus kept close to Asha. He could see how hard she was trying to hold herself together, and he felt a fierce protectiveness rise within him. They moved from person to person, gathering bits of information, each one amplifying Asha's resolve. As they spoke to the remaining crowd, a man stepped forward. I saw the driver of the car that hit your sister. He took off right after. His face wore a frown mixed with empathy. Asha looked at Marcus, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. Did you get a look at the car? Asha asked the witness urgently. It was a dark sedan. Couldn't see the license plate, but I saw the driver. He looked nervous, like he wanted to get away. Marcus felt a punch of anger in his gut. Why would anyone run? This isn't just an accident, it's more than that. He turned to Asha, frustration spilling out. What's wrong with people? Asha shook her head slightly, biting her lip as the weight of fear returned to her expression. Maybe he was scared, but what if he knows more? Then we find him, Marcus said resolutely, his heart racing. We'll find him, and we'll figure this out together. As the sun began to sink lower in the sky, they caught sight of a familiar figure approaching. It was Chief Stevenson, her expression grave. I may have news, she said, her eyes searching theirs. But you'll want to brace yourselves. Whatever you uncover might change everything. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. What could be worse? As they turned to face her, he knew they were one step closer to finding truth, but at what cost? The air felt thick with anticipation as Chief Stevenson stood before them, her demeanor serious. Asha clenched Marcus' arm, and he could feel her pulse racing beneath his grip. What is it, Chief? Marcus asked, his voice steady, yet a hint of anxiety threaded through. He wanted to brace Asha, but he knew they had to be strong now. The driver, the one who fled, he was found, Chief Stevenson began. And we have reason to believe he was involved in something much bigger than a mere hit and run. Asha's eyes widened, a mixture of dread and urgency swirling within her. What do you mean? What did he do? She pressed, her voice a whisper, filled with fear. He was working as a messenger for a larger operation. Apparently, he was carrying something illegal, Chief Stevenson revealed, her gaze shifting momentarily as if processing how much information to unveil. Illegal like drugs? Marcus almost couldn't comprehend what he was hearing. Yes. But there's more. We suspect a criminal network is involved, and he might have been trying to flee not just from the accident but from a greater danger. Asha swallowed hard, tears brimming in her eyes again. So it was a hit and run because of something he was mixed up in? Is that why he didn't stop? Because he was terrified? Chief Stevenson nodded solemnly. We're also looking into his background. I wish I could say more, but we don't have every detail yet. It's a developing situation. Marcus felt a surge of anger swell within him. So, someone might have been hurt because of their reckless choices? That's not fair. Now we need to decide how we respond, Chief Stevenson continued, acknowledging Marcus' frustration. Asha, Marcus, you two have done a tremendous job with gathering information. Your eyewitness accounts are crucial, but I want you to know this might put you in the middle of something dangerous. Asha's heart pounded. The reality of the situation was setting in, and she felt the weight bearing down on her. What should we do now? Just sit here and wait for updates? Stevenson took a deep breath, steely determination in her voice. No. We go after the facts. I want you both with us while we interview the driver. We have to know why he ran and how deep this goes. Your insight could be valuable. What if he is dangerous? Marcus challenged. A flicker of fear danced in his chest. That's why we have backup. We'll be with you, she reassured them, her presence radiating strength. But we can't let fear stop us from seeking the truth. Asha's resolve hardened. We need to know. I need to know what happened to my sister. Marcus nodded, feeling the flicker of a shared purpose ignite between them. We'll face whatever is next together. Just then, a rush of commotion erupted at the police barricade. A woman, wild and frantic, surged through the crowd. "Where's my son?" she screamed, her voice cracking. Marcus exchanged worried glances with Asha and Chief Stevenson. Their mission suddenly took a new turn, and fear tightened in Marcus' throat. The stakes were rising, and now, they could be caught in a storm they never saw coming. What if this new incident twisted everything they thought they knew? As the woman pushed through the crowd, an unsettling thought took root in Marcus's mind. What if their quest for the truth was just the beginning of a far darker journey? The chaos around them reached a fever pitch. Asha's heart raced, and she instinctively took a step forward, ready to help the frantic mother. "Wait!" Chief Stevenson shouted, rushing toward the woman as Marcus followed closely behind. He felt a mix of fear and empathy wash over him. This urgency was no longer just about them. It was bigger. It was life and death. "What happened? Where did you last see him?" Chief Stevenson asked, her voice even but urgent, grounding the situation. I don't know. I was at the store, just for a minute. When I came out, he was gone." The woman's voice cracked, and tears streamed down her face. Panic clawed at Marcus's insides. Asha squeezed his arm tighter, her eyes wide with fear. "Can you describe him for us? What was he wearing?" Stevenson pressed, her notebook out and ready. The woman took a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. "He had on a red jacket. Oh God, he never strays far. He wouldn't tea, he just wouldn't tea." Her sobs echoed in the cold air. Marcus's mind raced. He glanced at Asha, and they shared the same thought, they needed to help her. "We can help look for him," he said without thinking. "We have a few friends who might be around. We could ask them." "Marcus, hold on," Chief Stevenson started, but Asha interrupted. "We have to. What if he is scared? Alone?" Her voice trembled with emotion. Stevenson took a moment, studying both of them with a contemplative gaze. "All right. Just be careful," she said. "We can't lose you two as well." Marcus nodded. "We'll be back. I promise." Asha and Marcus dashed through the crowd, their mission now focused entirely on finding the missing boy. They called out his name, each shout swallowed by the chaos. Asha's heart pounded, each beat echoing a mix of urgency and hope as they zigzagged through thin crowds, navigating a familiar neighborhood that suddenly felt like a sprawling maze. "Do you think he's still close?" Asha asked breathlessly, darting a glance at Marcus. "I don't know, but we can't stop looking," he replied, determination lining his voice. They passed clusters of concerned onlookers. Faces whispered anxious thoughts. The air was heavy, shrouded in fear and uncertainty. Suddenly, a shout broke through the murmurs. "There!" A woman called from a nearby alley. Marcus' heart leaped as he took off toward the sound, Asha right on his heels. They turned a corner and skidded to a halt. There, in the shadows, was a small figure cowering behind a dumpster, the red jacket glistening in the faint light. It was him. "Hey! It's okay. We're here to help," Asha shouted, kneeling down to the boy's level. The child looked up, his eyes wide and fearful. I thought I lost everyone," he stammered, his voice shaky. "Come here, you're safe now," Marcus urged gently, extending a hand. As the boy slowly stood and stepped into their embrace, a sense of relief washed over Asha. They had found him. They could bring him back to the desperate mother. But the moment was fleeting. A rustling came from the other end of the alley, catching Marcus's attention. Stay behind us, he instructed, keeping his eyes trained on the source of the noise. It was then they noticed shadows shift, figures emerging from the darkened corners. Heart pounding, Marcus turned to Asha. We need to move. Now. As they backed away cautiously, the sense of danger crept in like fog. The stakes had just escalated, and there was no telling what awaited them in the shadows of this tangled web. Could they escape without getting caught in a game far more sinister than they ever imagined? As Marcus backed away, the shadows coalesced into recognizable figures, their faces obscured but intentions unmistakable. A wave of panic surged through him. The little boy clung to Asha, and she instinctively wrapped her arms around him, shielding him from the impending threat. This way. Marcus whispered urgently, grabbing Asha's hand. They sprinted down the alley, adrenaline pounding through their veins. The echoes of uncertain footsteps pursued them, the air crackling with fear and determination. The boy gasped, struggling to keep pace, but Asha encouraged him softly, "You're safe with us. We won't let anything happen to you." Marcus's heart raced as they reached the exit of the alley and burst into the open street. The vibrant lights of the community center sparkled in the distance, a beacon of safety amidst the rising darkness. They turned and glanced back, no sign of pursuit yet. Breathing heavily, they skidded to a halt in front of Chief Stevenson, who had been surveying the crowd with concern. "Chief! We found him!" Asha shouted, her voice laced with relief. But Chief Stevenson's focus quickly shifted. Her gaze sharpened as she surveyed the alley behind them, alert to the danger that loomed close. "Get inside," she commanded, ushering them into the warmth of the center. "We need to secure the place." The little boy stumbled in, still shaken. As Asha comforted him, Marcus's mind whirled. Who were those shadows? What danger lay ahead? The earlier camaraderie had melted into a desperate need for safety. Once inside, Chief Stevenson stormed back to the exit, her officers surrounding her like a fortress. "We need lookout positions. No one leaves this building until we have the situation under control," she barked, authority radiating from her. "Is there more going on?" Marcus asked her, his gut churning with tension. She met his gaze, her expression flickering between urgency and resolve. "This isn't just an accident. We suspect organized crime is involved. The driver who fled, he might have been on the run for deeper reasons than we originally thought." Asha blinked, clutching the boy tightly as she processed the enormity of it all. "But what does that mean for us? For the community? It means that we have to be vigilant. And right now, you both have proven invaluable," Chief Stevenson said, her intensity softening into shared concern. "But you also need to understand the risks. If they're after the driver connected to the accident, you three might still be in danger." The boy's eyes welled with tears, fear freezing him in place. "I just wanted to go home." Marcus knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We'll make sure you get home safe. That's a promise. We won't let anything happen." A sense of warmth intertwined with their dread, a flickering flame of resolve lighting the way forward. As they hugged the boy tighter, the crowd began to murmur about them. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with possibility. Marcus turned and faced the audience, the community that had once doubted him. "This is about more than just us now. It's about our town, about all of us. Together, we need to stand united against whatever shadows lie ahead." He stepped forward, carrying the weight of uncertainty and hope. "We can't let fear silence us. We must work together to protect our families, to reclaim our safety." A nod, a ripple of agreement came from the crowd. They were not just observers anymore, they were participants in their own story. "I know many of you have been struggling," Marcus continued, his voice steady. "Let us transform darkness into light. Let us channel our fear into resilience and be the community we aspire to be." Asha stepped next to him, her eyes blazing with conviction. "We can hand in hand. Let us find those responsible and tear down the barriers they placed in our lives. With renewed clarity, Marcus turned to Chief Stevenson, who now looked more determined than ever. It's time to take control of our fate. We will report every detail, every clue. We will emerge stronger together. And as they rallied around the child, the presence of a united community bubbled to the surface. Hope bloomed within everyone's hearts, mingled with the weight of their shared fears. Slowly, the shadows began to recede. Marcus felt a boundless surge of strength rising up in him, flickers of light illuminating the dark corners of his unsteady mind. He had faced prejudice, doubt, and now the threat of real danger, but for every shadow that loomed, their collective light was shining brighter. The path ahead wouldn't be easy. Challenges awaited just around the corner, but they would face them together. He caught Asha's gaze, a mirror of determination reflected back at him. "Let us get to work," he said, their mission now clear. And in that moment, Jason, who had been quietly listening, stepped forward. "I'm in, too. We all need to work together. No one's alone anymore." As he spoke, a contagious wave of agreement swept through the crowd. There, encircled by resilience and purpose, they stood as a family, a collective force that had sparked a heartwarming transformation among fears. Ashwood could learn and grow from this moment, and together, they would take that leap into the unknown. This was just the beginning. Make sure you subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire our communities. Leave a like now to show your support. Every click helps feed the algorithm. Comment your feelings about this conclusion, what it meant for you, and who you're sharing this with. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. True fans know how important it is to support the channel and keep these stories alive.